Hey, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the University Career Center, I just wanted to take a second to thank all of you for coming to this workshop today, where we brought this because we think there's two great goals here. One, just building your own technical skills using Adobe. That's something you can absolutely list on a resume. And then two, applying it to your own career path, your own career journey. To do that, we have two great experts from two different countries. We have Kirsten from Adobe over in neighboring Ohio, and Jim Babbage up in Toronto, Canada. Um, they're going to go through today's program, and I hope you find it really valuable. And with that, let me kick it over to you, Kirsten.
Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Kirsten Nagel, and I'm a Principal Customer Success Manager for Adobe. And my job really is to work with institutions and help them get the most of their partnership with Adobe. So I've got a fabulous job. I just want to tell everybody as we kind of head into things to watch the chat pod. I'm going to be sticking all sorts of good stuff, tips, tricks, links and stuff for you. I also want to call everyone's attention to this, and I'll put a link in the chat pod here in a second. This is a current contest that is going on called the Digital Edge Awards. You have until May 31st to submit any artwork or anything that you want to include. There are a lot of different categories and not just for quote unquote creatives. There is, as you can see, prize just for creatives, but there's also prizes for all the other fields as well. But in addition, there's also this Creative Campus winner. So there's some additional prizes down here, which Temple is a creative campus. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. There's money to be had. I assume that some of you might like to make some quick and easy money just by submitting work that you've already done and are going to put in your portfolio that Jim's going to teach you how to do today. So again, if you've got questions, throw them in the chat pod, but I'll be throwing all kinds of other stuff in there as he's talking. So pay attention to that. So with that, please allow me to introduce my magnificent colleague, Jim Babbage from Toronto, Canada. And you just have to say a lot. Okay?
Totally.
A?
Totally. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. As Kirsten mentioned, my name is Jim Babbage. I'm a senior solutions consultant here at Adobe. What that means is I support our customers and our sales teams on the education side from a best practices and implementation perspective of our various Creative Cloud tools. I'm also a big user of those tools. My background is commercial photography and writing. So I am constantly in tools like Express and Adobe Portfolio and Lightroom, things along those lines, working on my own personal work. So I bring that sort of perspective as well on how I use these tools on a regular basis. Our focus today is on two different products slash services. One of them is Adobe Express, primarily from a web page creation perspective to build a portfolio page, and also for those who want a more a richer and portfolio environment, like was more along the lines of a true website. We're also going to have a look at Adobe Portfolio. Both of these are tools that are included in a Creative Cloud membership. So let's get started by, first of all, making sure I can share my screen, and that's looking good. So we're going to pop that in. And I'm going to start right here. We're going to start with Adobe Express. This is sort of like, I want to say entry level in a way because it's very easy to get a handle on and very easy to use. It's still quite powerful and visually appealing. And I'm starting here with an example of a student who she was a nurse practitioner, studied to be a nurse practitioner, and she built her resume, her portfolio inside of Adobe Express. And I'm just going to scroll through here. We're not going to read the text word for word. I just want you to get the visual impression here. You know, she is sharing not just her own perspective, but she's sharing what she's learned throughout her time at school, what tools she's incorporated technology-wise to sort of bring her projects and her research to life. And basically, in the long run, showcasing how she's going to be beneficial to an employer, how these tools are setting her apart from possibly other people competing for the same job. And this was all built inside of Express. It's one long form web page. There's no coding required. Express handles those cool little transitions you're seeing as I move through. So it's a really easy tool to sort of tell your story, right? You don't have to spend a lot of time figuring out how the tool works. You can kind of just get started. And really, what takes longer than anything is making sure you've got all your stuff that you need so you can be ready to put that content together. Now, another example, more personal side, a couple of years ago, I got a new manager here at Adobe. And so one of the things I do is I will sort of showcase what I do, what I've done in the past. And so it's kind of a informal resume concept here. And basically, same kind of idea here, pulling in imagery, showcasing skill sets, what I've done in the past, what I like to do. It's a little instant graphical bio that I created inside of Adobe Express using the graphics tools. And then basically just sharing personal experience, that kind of thing. So you can do pretty much anything you want with this tool, whether it's more formalized resume style, whether it's more informal, whether it's just a story on what you've been working on through summer. Maybe you're on a research project or an internship. You can journal that information into an Adobe Express web page and make it easily accessible, because as soon as you publish it, it's available to anyone who has access to the link. So this is one of the tools we're going to be looking at. We're going to dig deeper into it in just a minute. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of it, I want to show you the other side of things, which is Adobe Portfolio. So we can go from Adobe Express, which builds a single distinct long form web page. You can't build a website per se. Every page is its own unique miniature site, if you will. Or you can go into a tool called Adobe Portfolio. I'm going to again show you an example of a student here. This is Valentina Arismende, and this is her project section of her Adobe Portfolio. And as I scroll through this, each of these little thumbnails is a different project. And even without mousing over every single one of them to see titles and things like that, at a very quick glance, you get an understanding that this individual is very digitally fluent, digitally flexible, right? They're doing a lot of different projects here. And everything from taking the same concept like we have here about this old movie theater and showcasing it as a magazine, as a website, as a video. All of these different elements are available. And she's sort of pulled all this content together. And basically, at a glance, as a potential employer, I can see that this individual is really comfortable approaching a wide variety of different topics too. It's not just one subject matter here. She's done everything from infographics to videography, to animation, to mobile apps, you name it, under the sun. And each one of these, as I said, represents a different project that she has worked on, right? So that's the power of Adobe Portfolio. You can put a lot of content in one place, very much like a traditional website. And if you take a look up in the top right, you'll see there's a welcome screen. This is sort of her little introductory bio. And then there's the projects. We were just there a second ago. Presentations she's done, where she's been mentioned. You can even create a really easy to navigate contact form. And you can also incorporate social media links off to LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, whatever you happen to want. So quite a bit of content is here. And the beauty of this is, again, it's essentially a no code environment. You're basically doing a lot of drag and dropping. But it gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more power to showcase a lot more work, right? So depending on what you want to do, either of these tools could be beneficial. I personally use both. So, and there are ways to embed Express content into an Adobe Portfolio project. So there's different ways you can sort of pull these things together and integrate them. All right. So I'm just hopping over to the editing version of my little intro page here. And we're back in Adobe Express again. I just want to sort of give you sort of the outline. Actually, before I do that, how did I even get there? Express.adobe.com is where you're going. And right here is the command central for everything you want to create in Express, whether it's graphics, video editing, web pages, or whatever. To create and start that web page, click on the plus sign, go to that little search bar, type in the word web. You'll get two choices. One's a web banner, which is a graphic. The other one is web page. And you're instantly in that web page editing mode. Okay, so it's really easy to get started. All right, now we're going to work on a blank screen like this. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how this was built as well, just so you have a sense of what's going on. I've been able to add in my own titles, my subtitles, add a nice, powerful, visually impactful cover image. And then everywhere I see a plus sign, I can add new content. I can add additional photos, text, buttons, animated GIFs if that's your thing. I can link to a video that's hosted on sources like YouTube or Vimeo. I can create a grid of photos. I can use some of the layout mechanisms called glide show and split layout to give myself a little more visually appealing presentation. And what you're seeing here is an example of that glide show in place. Nice big image in the background, and I can drop all sorts of content right in the middle or off to one side or off to the left side, really up to me where I want that information to go. So I've got some control over its positioning. There we go. And let go. There we go. I'll just scroll down a bit more. It's the same kind of thing. It's a lot of wash, rinse, repeat, right? Once you get a sense of the flow that you want, you just keep, spinning out more content. So there's sort of a mini resume. There's that little meme that I had put together, some photographs in a grid that I liked. And basically, I can continue on, scroll through this, and this just sort of granularly breaks down my skill set over the past many, many years. So just gives you an idea of what you can do. And the beauty of this too is that once I create this and publish it, the URL, the web link that's created is persistent. So if I come in here this month and decide to update it with things I've done over the past couple weeks or couple months, and I publish those changes out, everybody who's got this link is automatically getting the updated version. So they're always getting the most current version of their content, right? So that's really, really important to know. Okay, so I'm gonna hop back to that blank page here, and let's just sort of get started a bit here. So as I said, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward on how you do these things. You're guided all the way through, which is great. So I'm gonna add a title, Jim Babbage, storyteller, why not? Let's do that. Okay. I could add a subtitle in here if I want to, but what I really want in this sort of instant is a nice, powerful image to go in here. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I have three choices here. I can put a full screen image. I can do what's called a short cover, which is like a half height image, or I can do a split layout. I'm a big fan of the big photo impression here, whether I've created that as a collage like I did in my original little biography, or whether it's just a powerful image. So I can just go ahead and click on photo, and I can either search for photos through Adobe Stock right inside of the website if I want something conceptual, or I can upload from my own device. So in my case, I'm going to choose upload from device. I'm going to go to my desktop. Actually, I've already made a bit here. Let's see, I will go ahead and grab this image right here, just as a cover image. So this is an image I created using Adobe Firefly inside of Adobe Express. I've created this out of nothing, just with a text prompt. And that's my starting point. And maybe I'll reposition this a little bit, like so. And from here, I can just keep going, right? I scroll down, and there are the options. So I can start pulling in information, additional photos. Maybe I'll go ahead and, what I'll do actually, I've just decided on the fly, I'm going to create a split layout. And on one side, I'm going to add an image. I'm going to upload an image because I happen to have a few photos of myself. So I'll just go ahead and grab one of these guys. Let's go with this one. So I can drop an image into one side, and then on the other side here where that plus sign is, I can start adding additional content. Could be more photos, could be some text, probably some text would be a great thing here. and I can select that text, make it a heading or make it a subheading, or even do something we call a pull quote from the print industry, which sort of makes it stand out a bit more different visually. I'm going to go with a secondary heading there. And then I can just continue to add additional information, whether that's text, whether it's a hyperlink button. Maybe I'll go here and type in, let's see here, my website, and type in the web address. If I can spell it properly, because that's always the fun part when you're talking, doing something live. It looks like I got it right. I can position that button anywhere I like, left, center, or right. Just save that. And now I've got not only sort of a heading, I've got a link to a website. I can go in here and start to add in additional text. All right, and then essentially, as I mentioned earlier, once you get into a rhythm, it's really easy to sort of build this content out, right? The last thing I'll do in here, just sort of to encapsulate the whole thing, is I'm going to add in a video. Now, I mentioned the video has to be hosted somewhere else. When you're working inside of Express, it relies on a link from another resource. So in my case here, I'm going to go over to my YouTube channel, and I had one I wanted to share. Where was that? Go videos. And where did you go? Oh, I can grab this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the shareable link, go back to my page, and just click on the plus sign, choose video, and I paste in that link. It's that easy. Save, and within seconds, I get the thumbnail, and there's my video. Okay, now in my case here, this was actually a video I did for another project about creating an introductory video letter rather than a typical typewritten or word processed cover letter. But I've incorporated all this different types of media in here. I've got imagery, I've got links out to a website, I've got video footage. And as I'm building this out, anytime I want, I can preview this so I can see what other people are going to see. So this would be sort of the audience view, right? I can scroll through here, and when I'm doing this preview, everything's live. So if I go to the website here, the link, I can tap on that. It's going to take me out to my website, just like that. If I click on the video, it's going to go to bring the video full screen. Hello, Jones and Company. I'm Oliver Collins, a recent graduate with a degree in business and marketing from Algebra University. So I can see how this page is evolving and decide whether I like the order of the content, whether I think it needs more, I think it needs less, whatever it happens to be. I can even change the position once I'm out of that audience view. I can go and select a photo. Maybe the photo is larger than the area I've put it in. So I can change the focal point and make sure, if you look in the upper right corner, a little thumbnail preview is there so I can see what this might look like on a smartphone. So I can decide what is important in that photo. So I'm going to go right about there and save that. And now I've got this great little starting point for my portfolio, right? And it literally is just deciding on what you're going to put in next and how you're going to lay these things out. Now, I would obviously take some time to think about, first of all, gather together my content. If I'm going to incorporate a lot of text, I would recommend using some form of text editor or word processor to type out all that text, because it's easier to edit there, copy, paste, that kind of thing. But the more prepared you are, the faster this process will go, because you've got everything you need at your fingertips. Now, I can also change the look and feel of this, right? So there's this little, what looks like a magic wand here. And this is the theme options. So I can click on this and I can pick from some custom themes I may have created, but there's also all these great sort of default themes that are kind of designed to be pretty foolproof in terms of visual appeal, right? So depending on the kind of mood and atmosphere I'm trying to project, I can change this theme up. Maybe nightcap might be a little more interesting because that's going to give me very bold text, right? Just like so. And you'll see that it changes the background color. It changes the font styles, all those things. The content's all there. Nothing's changed from that perspective, but it's just the visual presentation of that information. Baldwin's another nice sort of semi-professional serious type here. And again, you'll notice that things change in terms of text, background colors, and things like that. They are templates. You can't customize the template itself. It is what it is. But as I said, you can create custom ones as well if you want to. When I get to the point where I'm ready to go and I feel like I'm ready to publish this, just click on the share icon. Aside from inviting collaborators, which if it's my own resume, probably not going to do that, but I could invite people to contribute content if I wanted to. I just choose publish to web. I'm going to give this a much more suitable title. I'm going to call it Jim Babbage Storyteller. And I can put in credits in here. Maybe, if all the visuals I'm incorporating were created by me, I could say all photography or all visuals created by the author or by Jim Babbage, whatever. Or if there's other people who've contributed, maybe some photographs of me presenting, that kind of thing, I might include credits for them in here as well. And then basically it's just a matter of clicking create link. And then within a few seconds, this is converted to an actual HTML-based web page. There's my URL, my hyperlink. I can copy that to the clipboard. And if I go and click create a new browser window and paste it, there is my web page completely live within seconds. It's actually ready to go, right? And if I go in here and decide, oh, you know what, I think I want to make a couple changes, I want to add more content, that's no big deal. I just go back to my editing version here. And maybe I'm going to change here and add in, let's go with visual storyteller, just to add something in here. And maybe just change this so that I get rid of the repetitiveness. So go away, dictionary. I don't need you. I know what the word means. There we go. Good. Sometimes you just have to delete. There we go. All right. So when I made those changes, it's automatically being synced to the cloud. I don't have to worry about saving it anywhere. And then I just go back to share. And you'll notice that I now have this option to publish my changes. So this is really important. If I make all these changes and don't publish the changes, no one's ever going to see them except me. So make sure you publish your changes. It takes, again, a few seconds. And once that's done, I'll get a status message saying it's done.
But what happens to their link, Jim?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. The link remains the same. So here I am back at that original web page, the one we started with. All I'm going to do is refresh the web page. And you'll see those changes are now in place, right? So as long as I make sure I publish the changes, as soon as someone goes to the web page, those changes are there, or if they're already on the page, they can refresh it and they'll see all the brand new content that I've included. So that's kind of a sort of a high level view of creating that sort of starter resume inside of Adobe Express. All right. Now, I want to hop into Adobe Portfolio, but I just want to check and make sure, are there any burning questions that have been asked?
No,
about
it's a
what I've
very
done so
quiet, very quiet crowd today.
Okay, you're all eating your virtual pizza. All right, so we're going to hop over to Adobe Portfolio. So I showed you Valentina's portfolio. This is a living document, remember, too. She didn't build all this in one go. She has started off with 1 or 2 or 3 projects that she's done. A lot of these were done when she was in school. She's since graduated. And then as projects were done, as she completed new projects, new research, got herself involved in new events, she added that content to the document, right? So don't feel like you got to wait till you have everything, because you're in school. You'll never have everything right away. It's always going to be more, right? Your skills are going to change. You're going to be refined. You're going to do new things. You're going to get interested in different different aspects of life. And you may want to share information about what you've learned or what you've participated in. So don't wait for everything to be ready, is kind of the guidance here. Get started. If you've got 3 projects, get them up there, right? You can always add number 4, number 5, number 6 as they come along, but don't wait until you graduate to do this, to start this process. Start this process as early as you can, right? And maybe that's year 1, maybe it's year 2, but add things gradually so that from the standpoint of being able to pull it all together, you're not overwhelmed by having to do, oh, I've got 15 research projects and I got to do it all now before I do my job interview. Take your time, build this up gradually, right? You don't have to do it all at once. Okay. Another example of a portfolio. This is mine. I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but again, you'll see it's got navigation links to different projects that I'm working on. I have a whole collection, very much like Valentina, of current work. Mine's displayed differently because, again, much like Express, I can choose different themes on how my information is going to be presented. So, and I will update this on a regular basis. I just recently introduced a whole collection on projects I've been doing that revolve around generative AI, right? I've got a whole section on just tutorials. So this kind of information is all here, and I add to this as I go, right? As these projects are done, as these articles are written, they get added to my Adobe portfolio. All right. So creating a portfolio is, again, a relatively straightforward process. I'm going to bring in a different window here, so bear with me. I've gone to portfolio.adobe.com and logged in with my credentials. Adobe Portfolio gives you the ability to create up to 5 websites, or up to 5 in total websites and or landing pages. Okay, so you could do a single page, almost kind of like an Express page, or you could do a full-blown website. Really up to you. So I'm on my my test account here, so there's not as much content, and I'm not so worried about changing things up with this one. I've got a couple little practice runs here. There's a starting one here, a little bit of a biography, and then there was one I was doing for a workshop a while back. But creating a new site is as easy as clicking on the plus sign, very much like we saw inside of Express. So I click on that plus sign, and here are my templates. I have about, I think, just over a dozen or around a dozen different templates, to pick from. It's very visual, okay, you can choose whatever theme you want, and you can always change your mind down the road. If you have only 3 projects to begin with, you may pick a theme that really showcases those 3 projects, and they sort of fill the screen, if you will. But then as you add more content, like Valentina did, for example, you may want to change that theme so you can see more projects in one screen. Perfectly fine. All the theme does is change how your content is basically presented visually. It doesn't change the content itself, doesn't remove anything, doesn't add anything. It just basically makes it look different, right? So you can see at the very top here, you can choose full portfolio or a welcome page. That's that single page concept. The welcome page is a little more limited, right? I think actually, frankly, Adobe Express, that web page we just were playing with a minute ago, that's probably got more functionality to it from a single page kind of concept. But there's our full portfolio, multi-page customizable website. So I'm going to make sure that's the option I'm choosing here, because I can pick between the two. And you'll see that the templates do change. Okay. And I'm going to go with, which one did I want here? Sawdust down here in the bottom right. So I'm just going to tap on that. And what I get is a preview. First of all, I can see the sort of fake site created here. There's the theme up at the top. I see how the navigation is going to show up. And I can even, at this point, even continue to scroll through the different themes just to decide which one I really want, right? So I'm going to stick here. And you might notice if you're watching closely in the upper left corner, I can see how this is going to look on a desktop in a browser. I can see how it might look on a tablet, right? I can even see what my portfolio is going to look like on a smartphone. And the beauty of this is that it means that I can focus on just creating my content, telling my story. I don't have to worry how people are going to view it, because Adobe Portfolio, and for that matter, Adobe Express, will resize and basically reset the layout based on the device's footprint. So I don't have to worry about coding that kind of thing. It's all taken care of for me. All right, so decided this is the one I'm going to go with. I click on the big blue button that says use this theme, and within a few seconds, it's going to generate that starter site. Now, I already have some content kicking around, so it automatically adds that information in here, right? But you probably won't have anything there. It'll probably just start off with that sort of add a page. In fact, if I go through here, let me just go and remove these guys so you can see exactly what you're probably going to be presented with. And if you're wondering, well, where did this content come from? I have an integration with another tool or service of ours called Adobe Behance. And Behance automatically, or Adobe Portfolio automatically sucks in any content that's in my Behance account. And I went back one too many steps. Sorry about that. It's bound to happen. There we go. And I'll just get rid of this one last one here. So what you'll probably see is something more like this. And it might be a little hard to tell, but each one of these boxes is basically a starting point for a collection of content or a page, right? Basically, this page here that we're looking at is sort of a repository of a whole bunch of different potential projects. So how do I get started? Really simple. I just choose to add a page. Now I can add an actual web page, or I can create a collection from my Adobe Lightroom content, which I'm not going to do. We're going to just go ahead and do add a page, give this page a title, and I'm going to go in here and say, I'm just going to type in here project 1. Keep it real simple. It's going to go into this collection called work, all right, which I can change the name of if I want to. I can even make this one page my actual home page, which I'm not going to do, but you've got that option. And I'll just choose create page. And within a few seconds, I now have this canvas to work with. I'm in project 1. There it is there in the upper left. And all the content I can add to this project is right here. So I can add images, text, photo grids, collections from Lightroom of my photographs. I can upload video rather than embed it like we did with Express. I can actually upload video. I can even add audio. I can embed other content, create hyperlink buttons, add social media icons, even create a contact form. Now, a contact form, the great thing about these templates is the contact form's already been created for me, so I don't really need to worry too much about that. But let's go ahead here and let's add in an image. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose that, and I'm going to go, I'm in my portrait section already. So let me grab same photo, why not? Drop that into place. There's my starting point. This is a photo of me at my current photography exhibit out here in Ontario. And then I can continue to add content. So as I move my cursor over the edges of this photo, you'll see these little plus signs show up, which means I can add content above the photo, okay, below the photo, and to either side of the photo. So maybe I'm going to click plus sign right here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to incorporate some text. So you see how the layout automatically changes for me. Now I can drag this little slider here, adjust that balance between the two things, and I'm going to type in there, hi, I'm Jim. And again, I can select that text. I can change this to maybe a header and continue on sort of typing in any way I want, add additional text here if I like. Just hit the return key and more text. Me, I can select that text. Maybe let's set that as a paragraph. There we go. And I can just keep on going. So it's the same kind of concept, just on a more granular level. I can build out this content really easily. And as I build these new pages, they automatically get added to my navigation. So you notice when I created that new page, I didn't have to do anything special to make that part of my navigation. It's automatically right here as project 1. So now, if I go back to my work project here again, the work page, there's that first project, and you notice I have a new blank square. So I can click on this and decide new page. And let's be really original here and call this project 2. It's going to stay inside that work folder. Click create page. And we're back to that same canvas area where I can choose an image or video. In my case here, I will grab a different image, pop that into place. And then maybe just below that, I'm going to choose a video that I've got available. And like I said, in this particular case, the video is being uploaded rather than being shared from, say, YouTube or Vimeo. So I've got a couple video pieces here. Let's just grab this one and open that up. And this video is actually being uploaded. So it takes a little time to upload and then to re-encode for the website. And it'll give you a little message about that process. But basically, as I'm going, I can continue adding content to this new project. You'll notice now I have project 1 and project 2. There's a lot of things I can control where I didn't have as much control inside of Express. I have a lot of control inside of Adobe Portfolio. This sidebar here that we haven't really talked about gives me very granular control around the navigation, around the themes, around integrations with other tools, my main settings. I can change background colors. If I don't like the color, maybe I'm going to go with a dark. Boom, just like that, I can choose that option. I can even change my default fonts. I can upload a background image. I have so much control here. So if you're building something on a larger scale, Adobe Portfolio might be the way to go because you've got that much more control over everything that you're doing. You can affect the design and look and feel of your specific page, or you can more globally affect the entire website in terms of colors and fonts and things along those lines. All that is available here, okay, in this sidebar. All right, now, I'm just going to go back and change that to the light version. Side pages, let's go and, well, you know what, maybe I'll leave it. I think I kind of like it there. So once I've got some content available and created here, much like Express, I can publish on the fly. Now, I've never published this site before. So down here at the bottom left, I'll see publish site. I can also see another button that says preview. So I can see how my site's going to look. If I click preview, sorry, jumping around a bit here, I can see what it's going to look like on mobile, what it's going to look like on a tablet, held in landscape mode, what it's going to look like in my browser. If I like all that, I can go back to the editing window. I can choose publish site. This is going to generate a custom URL for the whole website. You can see it's already made. It's a very small site, so it didn't take too long. There's the web address that I can put onto my business cards, share through email or social media. And then if I want to, I can just click view your site so I can see the site itself. So there's my main page. There's project 1. There's project 2. And there's that pre-built contact form that lets me incorporate my name and email address in my message and a submit button. I didn't have to write any code there or do anything like that. So it can be as simple and straightforward as that. You can certainly build more content. You can be more involved. You can create separate collections of work for different purposes. Maybe you're applying to different types of jobs. You can show and hide that content. If I go back to my portfolio here and I go to my pages category, okay, this is where that main collection of work is. By the way, let's change that to edit collection title to from work to current projects, right? Because work just doesn't sound quite so descriptive. Now I just type that in, press return, and that collection name has been changed. Take a look here, there it is, it's now current projects. And if I wanted to, for example, I could decide, you know what, oh, project 2, I don't want to get rid of it, but I don't want to show it to people this current job interview. So I can just hide it from view, just toggle that switch off, and then it's gone from the navigation, but I haven't deleted it, right? So I can be very flexible in what I share. And as I mentioned earlier, I could also create up to 5 different websites. So if I'm really sort of putting my fingers in a lot of different employment pies, I could have different websites for different disciplines, different employers, potential employers. It's really up to me how much I want to do with that and how I want to build that out. Now I'm going to hop back to the main page here for a second, the Adobe portfolio page. You'll see now that I've made some changes to this project, to this website, you'll see that the thumbnail is updating with that information. I can choose to go back and edit that site. I can make it my default go-to site. I can view the live site. I can even delete it if I don't like it at all. Okay, so I've got a lot of control from that perspective. And the other thing I want to point out here too is that if I go right back to the main portfolio site, not only can I get inspired by seeing examples of other people's projects, there's a lot of great learning resources here. So I can learn about how to, well, look, how to write a better bio, how to make a killer portfolio. This might be a little more visually inclined for creatives, but there's some great resources there. And there's excellent help files here as well for building out everything from start to finish. So I can see how, get some ideas on how I might want to do things and how I might want to change things up. Okay, so.
And I put those links in the chat
Oh,
pod for
thank
everybody.
you.
So
Thank
they
you
are
so
up
much.
on it. Mhm.
All right, excellent. So there's 2 different ways of building out a portfolio. There's a quick and easy, but still nice. I mean, let's face it. Grab my other window here. There is absolutely nothing visually wrong with this website style, right? Oops, get that out of there. It's easy to read. It will display really nicely on mobile, on a browser, on a tablet. So you're pretty much making it as universally accessible as possible, right? And it's very easy to build this kind of content. The technology is out of your way, right? It's a lot of just drag and drop or click a button, and you can focus on telling your story, right? So I think that's the key there. When you start building out and you see you're building out a lot more content like Valentina did, then you probably will want to look at something like Adobe Portfolio because it gives you a lot more control to consolidate and organize your content into very discrete little elements, right? It will really come down to how much you want to and how much time you want to invest, how much content you have to share as well. That basic process here may be just fine. It may be all you need, especially at the beginning, right? So it really comes down to what your preferences are. So take the time, as I mentioned, not just to gather your content, but to, plan out what you want to do. How extensive is this going to be? Is it something that a simple Adobe Express web page will suffice, or does it really need to be, a significantly larger, more granular, more true website style of a portfolio? Really comes down to what you want to get out of it, right? So those are a couple of things to think about in the beginning of what you're trying to plan out. Okay, that's kind of the basic overview of everything. There's a lot more I could do. We could do a whole afternoon on just Express or just Adobe Portfolio and get really into the nooks and crannies. I encourage you to experiment, especially with Express, because it's really easy to get started there, really easy to start building things out and seeing if that's the way you want to go. And then, as you saw, you can start very simply here in Adobe Portfolio as well, and just create, again, something very, very simple based on your own needs, right? So it really comes down to your personal preference on what you want to do. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
Does anybody have any questions for us while you've got our attention about the actual creation of the portfolio, about portfolios, about anything else? I've been putting tons of information in the chat pod. Is there a way to leave comments on either?
Good question. And Not really, from a standpoint of a visitor leaving a comment. It's more about the audience view. Um, there are ways to password protect parts of an Adobe portfolio. So you could have more of an interaction with a specific client or customer that way. But with Adobe Express, no, it is really just about creating and publishing and then putting it out there.
But that capability might be coming in the near future.
Anything is possible, to which I will never set a date.
So
I
the
will
answer
tell you
is
that
stay tuned.
Express has grown, evolved in leaps and bounds in the past 6 months, to be an incredibly powerful all-in-one content creation tool for web page creation, graphics, video. We're seeing it expand into audio. It's an integration with our generative AI tools, make it easier to create graphics, but also even to create your own graphic templates. So if I wanted to create a flyer or an invitation or even a resume or an infographic, I could start off by telling Express, make me this, rather than going and trying to find what I need through the thousands of professional design templates that are available.
Anything else, anybody? You normally get the what should we include or how many items or let's see. And we've got a pretty wide variety of majors on today. So, and there's no right tool, wrong tool. It's entirely up to you and what makes sense to you and the work that you have. And, we're just here to provide options.
Yeah, and the beauty of these tools too is the fact that there is integration between them. As I mentioned earlier, you may start in Adobe Express because that's what you're comfortable with, and you've got a couple things you want to share, and that's it, and that's totally cool. But if I get to the point where I feel like a true full-fledged website is more important, I can embed those Express projects into an Adobe portfolio. So I don't have to rewrite the content. I don't have to redo the content. I just have to build a simple embed code, paste it in, and Adobe portfolio will just load my Adobe Express webpage right inside my project. So that can be another way to sort of combine these elements too. So don't feel like you're abandoning work you may have started in one area just because you want to move to something more that has more control over the overall presentation.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
So again, I put lots of links in the chat pod for learning resources for Express, another set of stuff for portfolio, and we got somebody raising their hand. Hang on just a second. I've got open internships. There's still open internships for the summer, remarkably. So take a look at those, especially in kind of that data science, AI type stuff. There's always availability in there. If you're looking for an on-campus job, becoming a student ambassador, we're looking for students there at Temple. If you have any interest, you can control how much or how little you work. So take a look at that. And then we've got some other stuff going on today and tomorrow with our university recruiting team and with some other students, should you want to learn more about your career journey. Okay, Zoom user who is not named, but you have your hand raised. Please come off mute and talk to us.
Sorry, I thought it was if I had my name on it. But I wanted to know, I don't know if this was already said, but if we could put content from Express into portfolio, what would be the difference of the two sites? Like what could the two different sites be for? What the two different
The difference is, it's a good question. The difference is with Express, every project is a separate, unique project with its own website URL. There's no way to create a master navigation, really. It's not designed to be a website tool, it's a web page tool, right? And whereas Adobe Portfolio is that anthology, if you will. It can contain new content, or it can embed other existing content like an Express web page. So really, it's one of those things where sometimes, in my case, I'll give you a couple personal examples. I find it really easy to create my story in Express because it's just so easy. It's so fluid. Um, and then I will go over to Adobe Portfolio and just start an empty project and just drop that in. So rather than having to retype it or tap on the plus button and rebuild all my bits, I can just take that whole published piece and bring it right into Adobe Portfolio. I won't always do that, but there are times when I just happen to got started in Express and think, you know what, I really want this in my full portfolio of work. So rather than redo it, I'll just embed it. It just saves me some time. Doesn't mean you have to do it. Just, depending on where you start, it may be convenient for you to do that every once in a while, if you find it beneficial.
And some people also use Express for actual assignments. They could be papers or other multimedia items that they create for a class.
Yeah.
So that could be, literally what your piece of work is that you're putting onto an Adobe Portfolio site, for example, because I use Express all the time for all of my presentations. So I might put together an Adobe Portfolio site of different presentations I've done or something like that. So that's another way you might use it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Well, if you think of anything else, I have put my email address in the chat pod as well. If you get home and say, darn it, I forgot to copy that link or something, you can reach out to me and I'm happy to help. Okay.
Kirsten, Jim, thank you so much for running today's session. There's clearly a lot to learn, but a very powerful and helpful product. And I know our students here appreciated it. I appreciate your time and our partnership. And if anyone here in the audience needs anything, additional career development help, here's a link to the University Career Center's website where you can see all kinds of things that we offer. But again, I appreciate your time and thanks so much.